Okay, good to see everybody. So not practicing today, Jed, Taki, and Chris Hubbard. Big week this week with the Bears coming into our place. Two one-on-one football teams. Got a ton of respect for this coaching staff. I know a bunch of their coaches. They're really well coached. It's a dominant defense. It's a physical defense. They're big. They play strong. Coach Desai's doing a really nice job with that scheme. Offensively, they're going to give you a lot of things. A lot of pre-snap movement. I know you saw the news on the quarterback playing, and he's a really good player. He's dynamic, can make plays with his feet, can make plays certainly with his arm. A very productive player from college. And then special teams, I think they're a good special teams unit coached by Coach Tabor. So really looking forward to the challenge and starting that work week with Wednesday's practice. With that, I'll take questions.
Kevin, any update on Odell's status for Sunday?
No update. We'll see how he progresses this week, but I expect him to be full go today at practice.
So, Kevin, is the plan right now for him to play Sunday?
The plan is to practice Wednesday, see how it goes this week, but I'm not ruling him out.
Would this be the first time he's been full go?
I'd have to check.
Kevin, we talked about Baker making that tackle and kind of mixing it up. That competitiveness, is that part of just kind of what makes Baker Baker?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have heard me say it many times. He's a very competitive player. He's a very competitive person. He's fiery. The tackle itself, obviously, we want to get him on the ground without getting hurt. So that's a learning lesson, obviously. But, you know, his teammates respond to him. And certainly in moments where he's gutting things out and he's showing his toughness, I think your teammates respond to that.
Will he be full in practice?
I'll have to see how it goes.
Kevin, what do you want him to do, like in a pick situation like that? I know everyone's different. One, he may be way downfield. Another, he might be in position to knock somebody out of bounds. What's the coaching point there?
You know, you got to prevent a score. Any quarterback, the way we've taught him is they have to, number one, turn the ball back inside. And he did that. And then you got to try and get him on the ground. There's different techniques that you can use. That was kind of an awkward play. I think their defender looked to single him out, which, listen, he's trying to get him on the ground, so you become defenseless in that moment. But we got to get him on the ground, whether it's the quarterback or the receiver or the running back, whomever. If the ball's going the other way, you got to get him on the ground.
What about Baker blocking? I mean, I know it's admirable and everything,
Yeah.
but he was doing it with one hand. He had a pancake and everything, but do you really want him doing that?
No. You know, sometimes you run those plays and you're telling the quarterback, hey, really, you just got to get this thing started in case somebody, you know, it's not like he's not getting lead blocking tips from Stump Mitchell. So.
But is that sort of like the fine line, though, that you have to walk if you don't want to take that, I guess, that competitiveness out of him?
Yes. Yes. We don't want to take the competitiveness out of him, but don't foresee him as a lead blocker very often.
Kevin, Tyrod Taylor had that touchdown run. So what do you guys have to do better defensively when you face a running quarterback like the field?
Yeah, we're going to have a challenge this week, Jeff, like you mentioned. We have to, rush and coverage have to work together. And we got to be sticky in coverage, and we got to be true to our rush lanes. And then ultimately, when you're in location to get a player like Justin Fields on the ground or Tyrod Taylor, you got to get him on the ground. And it's really not a one-person job. It really takes all 11.
Kevin, what's the first thing that jumps out to you when you do watch Fields on tape?
Dynamic. You know, he made plays with his arm. He had a nice throw into the end zone there in one of those drives. Made plays with his feet late. There's no shortage of things they can do with him. They have him kind of, and I'm sure now with a full week of practice, they can expand upon that.
Every player who's come back from an injury so far this year has had a pitch count for you. Should we assume Odell looks good?
Yeah, I'd have to think back, Tony, if everybody's on a pitch count. I think we just got to be smart with any player coming off of an injury. We try to be very mindful of what that player, where he is, and then make decisions on a case-by-case basis. But specific to Odell, if he plays in the game, I can't tell you that there would be a pitch count or not. I really wouldn't know.
Kevin Jarvis out. We saw Hollywood have to big step up in the amount of plays. Is there one guy? Is it Hollywood that you would see give more opportunity with Jarvis being out?
No, I'd say it's like anything. You don't replace Jarvis, but guys have to step up, and those opportunities will go elsewhere. Remains to be seen who gets those opportunities, but certainly you lose a player of Jarvis's caliber, you have to have guys that step up.
One question on that Bears defense. It seemed like Khalil Mack lines up a lot of times on the offensive right side. Is that kind of good? Because we know Jed battling an injury or it might be a backup is a kind of a blessing maybe that he'll be up against Jack most of the game.
Well, Robert Quinn's a pretty good rusher on the other side. That defense plays right and left, something that they've done there for a long time. So you got Akeem Hicks on the right, Khalil Mack on the right. They do a nice job. It's a really good scheme. Coach Desai's been there for a long time under Chuck Pagano and Coach Fangio, so you see elements of that. And it's Coach Desai's third game, so we'd expect to see something that we haven't seen to date.
Kevin, you seem to like to run a fair amount of 13 personnel, but then also kind of spread it out too when you're in that kind of personnel grouping. What is it that you like about doing that?
I'd say, Dan, it goes back to so much discussion about versatility. I think when you have multiple tight ends on the field, it can be advantageous to the offense to align them in different spots. So the defense can't hear 13 personnel and go through the mental check of, it's definitely going to be this formation, because it can be multiple formations. I think we're fortunate to have guys that can line up in different spots and can excel at different spots.
Kevin, another with Odell. What kind of boost could he give you, especially given the fact that you won't have, your other starting receiver for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, Scott, I tell you, we'll see how it goes, but Odell's been great out here at practice. He's working really hard. He's gotten a ton of reps between just him and Baker, gotten a ton of reps in 7-on-7 and the team drills. So I think the guys recognize that he's a dynamic football player.
With that, you said the other day that he's no worse for wear for playing Sunday. Is the hope that he'll be able to, do you think he'll be able to practice at some point this week?
I do.
Kevin, a follow-up on what Matt was asking you about Khalil Mack. Just what makes him so challenging? How much does he have to do with, when you call this a dominant defense, how much is he a part of it?
Yeah, he's a huge part of it. Having faced him a bunch of times when I was with the Vikings, just the combination of speed and power, his bend, he plays hard. He's good against the run, good against the pass. I mean, he's an outstanding football player.
Kevin, as we heard Chase hitting the back, you guys have some cracks in that. What's the biggest challenge? Is it just space because it's so much smaller?
In here?
Yeah, inside it.
We get it done. It's obviously not a 100-yard field, but just kind of close quarters, but we get it done.
Kevin, when you talk about your defense, is patience required given all the new faces on there, especially some of the young guys in that back seven?
Yeah, I think certainly with younger players, you're going to have some growing pains, offense, defense, and special teams. But listen, we want to make sure that we're playing good, sound defensive football. We've done that at a bunch of moments, and then there's some moments that we just got to clean up, and we recognize that. And the players and the coaches, we're working hard to make sure that we get better as the season goes on.
Would you say too many of those moments happen on third down?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's obvious that we got to do a better job on third down.
Malcolm was saying it was technique things he thought was that mostly it on D?
No, Mar, it's never one thing, And when you say technique, it sounds like you're saying it was the player's fault. So that's not the case. We need to do a better job as a team, coaches, players. We just got to do a better job.